still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but... She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but... She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but...
So yeah, I'm bringing it back. Because the more I look at this picture in the car, the more I can't understand what I can't understand. I know what I see. I've heard experts weigh in agreement and disagreement. But I do know what I see. And what makes logical sense to me. How it came to be, I don't know. But I do believe that whatever happened, it happened after they dropped H off between Kingsport and Rogersville, before they hit the house. I don't know if they went home just for a trade-off only, or if, I don't know. My mind says no flowers, no grandma, no candy, none of that. But it doesn't mean they didn't go to the house. It just means Summer wasn't active when they were there, based on what I feel and think I see in this car. You don't have to agree. I just want to show the perspective. And offer a little bit of my research and how I came to this particular educated guess. I don't want it to be true, but listen, I can't deny the darkening of the nail beds, the ears, the lips. I see that. I didn't doctor anything, and I didn't get a doctored photo. I'm not even going to talk about the bruising, which I also think is obvious if you're looking. But I absolutely have to talk about that spot under that damn seatbelt. Like, seriously, what is that damn spot right in her tummy area? Don't tell me she was wet. It's the bathing suit. No. We have straps. I'm a woman. We have other areas that would be wet. Between the leg may even be wet. This is right under her belly, and it's in a concentrated area, and it's nowhere else. How in the hell does water only show up in one place when her whole body was submerged in that little creek or swimming hole or whatever? It's not adding up for me. And when it doesn't add up, I can't let it go. And I can't let this go. Everything about this car picture is dead wrong. Everything. Now, if you can rationalize it in your head, good on you, because I can't. The milk doesn't make sense. The seatbelt being behind her and not in front doesn't make sense. Although I know Candace is unfit, it doesn't make sense when you put it all together and you stack this stuff. It doesn't add up. The stain and the discoloration, the fact that she's overly dressed on a hot day, way overly dressed on a hot day with no air on in the car, in her brand new school clothes that we haven't heard a peep about. She got home. Oh, so far we heard about, of course, the so-called flower garden. And we've heard about Grandma and the piece of candy and washing their hands and washing some clothes here lately. Didn't hear anything about her getting out of her school clothes. But then we hear that she went missing. Pink shirt, gray bottoms. When did she take off her shoes, since they think she may have been barefoot. The whole story is a crock of shit, y'all. That I do know for sure. What have they done to this baby girl? Summer is still about you, baby. Save Summer Wells. Hey, beautiful people. So first of all, I have to say that viewer discretion is advised for this video, and it's not going to be for the faint of heart. I'm going to go somewhere that it looks like a lot of people have gone, but we don't really want to talk about it. You can see the screen. We're going to talk about death. First, I just want to share some information, and then we're going to talk about death. So, that's something that you're interested in. Kick back. Let's roll. So, what are the 4 post-mortem stages of death? We have pallor mortis, algor mortis, rigor mortis, and livor mortis. Once death occurs in a body, it undergoes a series of changes that occur in a timely and orderly manner. There are 4 stages: pallor mortis, algor mortis, rigor mortis, and livor mortis. Death is one of the most fundamental facts of life. After we die, there are 4 stages of changes that occur in the body. They are used primarily to determine the time of death, or postmortem index, PMI, in forensic pathology. TV crime dramas will often throw around words like lividity and rigor mortis, while the forensic expert analyzes the victim. Most of us are probably familiar with these signs, even though we might not know the technical terms for them. I'm going to let you know in advance the 2 I am most focused on. Actually, there's going to be 3. The only one I'm not really focusing on is rigor mortis, because that's the one we all pretty much know as death. When we see a dead person, that's usually where they are, rigor mortis. Stiff, cold, gone. But the other 3 are important because of where I'm going with this. So, let's start with pallor mortis.
Imagine that you're watching your favorite crime drama show. A murder has taken place. The police and forensic experts are looking for clues to catch the killer. One of the most important clues to solving the crime is determining when the victim died. The expert looks at the body, checks the body temperature, and examines the body's position. After a thorough examination, the expert then states the approximate time of death. The question is, how does a forensic expert calculate the time of death? The time of death is not the exact time that a person died. It is instead a time frame in which the person could have died based on the evidence presented. Forensic scientists calculate the time of death using many techniques. Their first go-to method is to study the physical changes that happen in the body after death. So what are these signs? There are 4 post-mortem signs that tell a great deal about time of death. These are physical observable changes that occur in the body in the first 24 to 48 hours after the heart stops beating and the nervous system shuts down. The first sign, pallor mortis. As the heart stops beating, the circulation of blood throughout the body decreases. The organs farther away from the heart, like the skin, stop receiving blood. This gives a corpse the pale, lifeless appearance that we associate with death. This paleness, which appears 15 to 30 minutes after death, is called pallor mortis. It is one of the first identifiable signs of death. The second sign,
Let's pause that for just a moment. So pallor mortis. Basically, you're going to turn pale. That is the first sign. And the lighter you are, the more pale you may seem. You could also still seem alive during pallor mortis. Not much is really showing except the paleness, which, other excuses could be made for the paleness. What about algor mortis, stage 2?
algor mortis. Humans are homeothermic, which means that we maintain a constant internal body temperature. This constant average temperature is maintained by balancing the heat produced in the body with the heat lost. The circulatory system is an important mechanism by which humans maintain an average internal temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Heat is produced primarily through the various metabolic reactions happening in our body. This produced heat is dissipated from deeper organs, such as the liver and brain, to the outer parts, such as the skin, through the movement of blood. Under the first layer of skin, the epidermis, lies a network of capillaries. These capillaries allow heat produced by the body to be released into the air. Without the heart beating, blood cannot distribute heat and regulate body temperature. This leads to the body temperature reaching equilibrium with the external temperature. If the temperature is less than 37 degrees Celsius outside in the first hour after death, then the temperature of the body will decrease by 2 degrees and then continue to decrease by 1 degree every hour. Algor mortis is not an accurate way to back-calculate the time of death, however, as it varies based on external conditions, such as weather, and is affected by whether the corpse was wearing clothes or not. The third sign.
All right, so algor mortis. Now we're talking about the body starting to shut down and your body temperature starting to drop because, again, by the time you get into rigor or rigor mortis, your body is stiff and cold, right? Completely cold. There's no energy pumping, no heat, none of that. So the thing about algor mortis, what they just said, they don't use it really to measure time of death because it can be affected by, excuse me, at the belch. So sorry. It can be affected by outside conditions or whether or not the person is wearing clothes. Basically meaning in order to keep the body at a certain temperature, you just need to cool it off. Otherwise, it's going to drop and then you'll have that cold, stiff body. So if you want to keep or slow down the process of stage 2, the algor mortis kicking in, you have to regulate the body temperature. You have to keep it cool. Embalming or keeping it cool. Those are the only 2 ways, okay, to slow this process down, possibly. You could even use like 2 gallons of milk to just keep the body cool for as long as possible, to do that. But once algor mortis has been completed, body goes into rigor mortis.
Rigor mortis. This sign is one of the most important signs when it comes to determining the time of death. Rigor mortis, which literally means stiff death, is the contraction of the muscles in the body after death. Before rigor mortis, all the muscles relax in a step called primary flaccidity. This happens because, after death, brain activity decreases until it completely stops. Without the brain giving muscles a signal to contract, the muscles remain in a relaxed state. Primary flaccidity lasts for 1 to 2 hours after death. The first muscles to relax are those in the eyelids, fingers, and toes. In this stage, the corpse usually releases urine and gas, as muscles controlling urination and passing gas are relaxed. Primary flaccidity is followed by rigor mortis. Muscles stiffen up in rigor mortis because of cells being broken down by digestive enzymes. This cellular breakdown is a normal part of body decomposition and is called autolysis. The breakdown of cells makes holes in the boundary of the cell and its compartments. This releases calcium ions from the separate compartment within the cell where they are stored. This calcium is crucial for initiating contraction. During normal living conditions, a signal from the nervous system triggers the calcium to release from its compartment. Another factor causing rigor mortis is the lack of ATP, the energy-giving molecule in the muscle cells. Once calcium initiates muscle contraction, myosin, a protein molecule that moves things around in the cell, binds to actin, a long chain of proteins that form the skeleton of a cell. Once the myosin binds to actin, it uses the energy from ATP to pull the actin, making the muscle fiber shorter and shorter with each pull. Immediately after death, muscles can still produce ATP. Muscles have reserves of glucose in the form of the polysaccharide glycogen, which it breaks down in the absence of oxygen to provide ATP. This ATP is used up in muscle contraction, but the muscles also need ATP to relax. This means that the actin and myosin will remain contracted until the muscle is completely decomposed. Rigor mortis starts in the same order that primary flaccidity does, with the eyes and fingers, and slowly progresses to the rest of the body. Rigor mortis reaches its peak 12 hours post-mortem. After that, the muscles begin to relax in the same order that they began contraction. After rigor mortis comes a second cycle of relaxation, called secondary flaccidity, which is due to muscle degeneration. Digestive enzymes break down the proteins in the muscles, including the muscle contracting machinery. Forensic experts use this progression of muscle relaxation and stiffening to estimate the time of death. They will check to see which parts of the body have stiffened and make an estimate based on what they find. It is more reliable than rigor mortis, as it isn't as affected by external conditions.
So, the reason why I said rigor mortis wasn't one of my main topics of this video is because there's just no way that what I'm talking about is rigor mortis. What I'm looking at, what we're going to look at together here shortly. But it's certainly one of the stages of death, no doubt. It just takes a while longer to show up. Now, last but not least, is liver mortis. Even though what's interesting about liver mortis is even though it is listed as the last stage, it actually kicks in early on in the beginning, as early as pallor mortis or algor mortis. So let's check it out.
The fourth sign, liver mortis. After death, blood is subject to the forces of gravity, now that the heart isn't moving it around any longer. It pools wherever the forces of gravity is strongest. This starts about 15 to 30 minutes after death and starts to become visible 2 hours after death. Lividity, as it is called, starts to become fixed after 6 hours as the blood vessels begin to break down. After 8 to 12 hours, a purple coloration develops. This purple color develops because the deoxygenation of hemoglobin forms deoxyhemoglobin, which has a purple-blue color. Liver mortis can be very useful for determining time of death. Once lividity is fixed, it doesn't fade, even when the body is moved. If a part of the body came in contact with a firm surface that obstructs the blood flow, an impression of it will show on the skin that is surrounded by pooled blood. The color or pattern of lividity can allow forensic scientists to guess not only what the time of death could be, but also the cause of death. Lividity in the extremities, such as the fingers, would suggest that the body was upright, as opposed to lividity developed on the back, which would suggest a horizontal position. These four signs are commonly used together in order to estimate the time of death. The time of death is not 100% accurate, however, because of so many other factors.
Before we wrap that video up, let me say this. Why liver mortis is important to me in the context of this video is because, again, the lividity portion, the fact that basically you can start to see that the person is dying or dead. Their body's still dying, but they're dead. And you might want to cover that up if you don't want anyone to see these traces. You might overdress someone. For instance, if it was really hot outside and you put them on a long sleeve coat or windbreaker and long sweatpants or some sort of pants, maybe you're covering up some signs that began to show. And as you heard, depending on the positioning of the body, that's where the livor mortis would show up first. Okay. So, in order for that not to be seen, you would have to dress the person. You understand where I'm going?
Such as the environment, weather, clothes, or whether the victim was moved. Forensic experts will most likely give a time frame rather than an exact time. So, the next time you're watching a crime drama, don't forget to be that guy and point out all the loopholes you see.
Exactly. So, when someone tells me there's no way Cash Gurnan was not alive in that crib, this is where I go. Are you sure? Are you positive there was no pallor mortis, alga mortis, or liver mortis going on? Are you sure? Because I'm not. When I look at Summer Wells sleeping in that car, allegedly, I'm not convinced that there's no pallor mortis, alga mortis, or liver mortis going on. I'm not convinced. Why? Because of the literal definitions of the terms and how fitting they are. See, most of the time we see someone dead, and the first thing you say is, "No, no, no, her lips haven't turned blue, her hands aren't crunched up." All this rigor mortis related stuff, and we forget rigor mortis is number 3 on the list. There's so much more that happens before that. And it can take some time to truly know if someone is dead or alive if you're just looking at images. But if you're looking at the definitions, as the forensic pathologists are doing right now, then maybe you could see something different. I'm just saying. Let's roll on a little bit more before we look at what is actually fueling my fire tonight. So, first of all, we're not looking to find the time of death. We are not. I am not. I just don't think it's possible based on what I see. But that's different for forensic pathologists. They can use all of these stages, but as you heard, certain ones are better than others because pallor mortis, well, that kicks in right away. Okay, we're looking at it right now. The first change that occurs in a corpse is the increased paleness in the face and other parts. This is due to the cessation of blood circulation. Now, this is everything they just said in the video, so I won't repeat everything. This is the very first sign, and it occurs very rapidly, within 15 to 30 minutes of death. Now, that's very, very, very significant. Because again, with Cash Gurnan, so many people said, no, if he was dead, this would be happening or that would be. Well, maybe not. If he had only been dead 15 to 30 minutes, he would just be pale and limp. But if you do not, and I mean hurry up and find a way to maintain the constant internal temperature this body is going to go ahead and start dying. Without the brain and the blood distributing heat, the corpse eventually starts to match the outside temperature. So if it's super hot outside, the body's going to get super hot. If it's super cold, the body's going to get super cold. So you need to regulate that. Like maybe you would ride in the car with the windows down to let a little heat in, but let your baby sleep on 2 gallons of milk to keep them cool. Now you're trying to balance out the hot and the cold. Because if either happens too fast, you're going to move on into that next stage. Okay? So you would want to keep the body cool in order to slow down the algor mortis, which is why they don't use algor mortis to determine time of death, because it can be manipulated, basically. Then we moved on to rigor mortis. Well, now you have other things happening. Gas is being released, smells. They could pee or poop themselves. It's death. It's death as we know it. And I don't know that, or rather I should say I don't believe that Summer Wells was honestly anywhere near rigor mortis. At least not the portion of it where, you know, everything just relaxes and you start to get the breakdowns and the smells and the bowel movements. I don't think she was anywhere near that. But Cash Gurnon, on the other hand, I mentioned this before. Immediately after death, a corpse will go flaccid. All the muscles will become relaxed and limp, but the whole body will stiffen after a few hours. The muscles will now contract and become rigid, a stage called rigor mortis. So basically, just go limp. Maybe if your arm is up, it falls down because your muscles are no longer contracting. That happened in the car with Summer Wells. I'm just saying. As far as Cash, when the kidnapper lifted up the blanket and dropped it and leaned back and put his hand up like he was devastated by something, sight, a smell, something. It makes you wonder. It makes me wonder, was Cash Gurnon alive? Was he even still alive? Or did that kidnapper have that reaction because of what they discovered when they lifted up that blanket? It makes sense if you think about it. So I'm scrolling through here. Give me 1 second. Because a lot of us said that he looked stiff once he was picked up and that he hadn't moved a muscle the whole time the kidnapper was hovering over the bed. And it says immediately after death, the muscles become limp because there's no signal from the brain instructing the muscles to contract. The muscles still have energy reserves that can be used, so the muscles remain relaxed. So I look at this in the different stages and I think about the different babies and the different situations, and I do believe that Cash Gurnon could have already been deceased in that crib. I do believe that Summer Wells could be deceased in that car that we're seeing her riding around in with grandma and mom. I do believe that. There is a possibility. And if you don't think of death as rigor mortis and you realize there's other stages, I mean, you got to at least think about it. And if you're a doctor or a nurse or anybody involved in that field and you want to combat this, feel free. I mean, I'm literally just reading. I'm not making this up. I'm not guessing. There are different stages. And maybe the person you saw was in rigor mortis. And we're looking at someone in pallor mortis or algor mortis with liver mortis happening already. It's possible. The final stage of death, liver mortis. When the heart stops beating, the blood is now at the mercy of gravity. It tends to collect at certain parts of the body. Depending on the position of the body, these parts would vary. For instance, if the person were flat on their back when they died, the blood would collect in the parts that are touching the ground. If the person were hanging, it would collect in their fingertips, toes, and earlobes. Lividity starts with the skin where the blood has settled, developing a bright red color. After a few hours, the color changes from red to bluish purple. This can take 6 to 8 hours. But when you look right at a picture, for instance, Summer Wells sleeping in the car allegedly, and you say, her lips aren't purple. Well, it hasn't been 6 to 8 hours. We don't think they just rode around with her in the back like a bag of garbage for 6 to 8 hours, do we? No, we don't. So that's understandable. You can be dead without having purple lips yet. You don't automatically completely stiffen up. There are factors, and I'm just highlighting them. I'm just highlighting them. I didn't write this article. I just did some research and I'm pulling out the one that seems to break it down the best in layman terms because we don't understand this stuff. And I'm not going to accept, no, she's not dead because her lips aren't purple and her hands aren't crunched up because that's step 3. And that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that I believe she is not alive in that picture. And I've thought it since the first time I saw it. If I'm wrong, thank God. Because how morbid would you have to be to take this picture? Now, I've heard some people say grandma took it on accident. Don't know. Don't really care. It was taken. It is weird. And it was put out by the media right away, which I think is another telltale sign. Yes, parents take pictures of their kids sleeping. I did it. We have all done it. But guess what? In all of those TikToks and Facebooks, how many pictures did you see that Candace took with Summer looking peaceful, period, let alone sleeping like an angel? When I see that picture, when I saw that picture the first time, my very first thought was that's the most peaceful I've ever seen that baby. My second thought was she looks really pale. And her hands do look a little stiff. That was my first thought. We're talking the first day they let that picture out, maybe June 16th. Now I'm seeing the video came out, which was awesome. Unmasked. Thank you so much for putting that out there. And it just made me look more and more and more. And then mom asking that weird question, is her arm still up? And then making this statement, that's what I was trying to catch. But what do you mean you were trying to catch it? Did that arm need to stay up for some reason? Did you just want to catch a pic with the arm up because it looked more realistic like she was alive? What the hell did you mean? And grandma, who I'm assuming was recording, what are you doing? Get your ass on camera and talk. Because you were there too when she went missing. We should hear from you. And you can tell us about this damn video. When was it taken? What the hell was going on? What happened right before that? Was that before or after? What? It's just doesn't look right. And it fits the bill. If you can't go there or don't want to go there, I understand. But it fits the bill. It fits. Tyler Mortis, you're turning pale. I see paleness, for sure. Maybe even a filter over the picture to make it look more pale so we can't tell she is pale. I see that. And then you go into algal mortis. Now I got to worry about the temperature dropping on this body. How do I keep it cool? Oh, gallons of milk. Because if I don't, it's going to progress. You certainly don't want it to progress. Because if you don't regulate that body temperature in algal mortis, you're going to get to rigor pretty quick. I mean, there's a window of time, but you'll get there sooner than later. So you have to cool that body. Otherwise, everything's going to relax. Everything. And maybe something happens. They pee, they poop, they fart. And then when the kidnapper lifts up the cover, oh my God, it's a mess. That can happen in the early stages of rigor before your body has completely stiffened up. I'm just saying. So you would possibly buy 2 gallons of milk and let your baby sleep on them. Then you also got to think about that liver mortis, because that kicks in early too. So while Pella mortis, alga mortis, and possibly rigor mortis is going on, you have already been through liver mortis where it's going on. As you see here, it can take up to 6 to 8 hours to take full effect to turn purple and blue, but it can start happening very early, within the first 15 or 20 minutes. And this is where you basically start to change colors in the final stage. If you're laying on your back, it's kind of like, think of it if you're standing on your head. And they used to say all the blood's going to rush to your head. Correct. So if you died standing on your head, then your livor mortis would start in your head. That's the lividity. That's where the blood has settled. So if you're laying on your back, everything's going to be on the back. If you're laying on your front, you're going to have the color start to change in the front first. Okay, if you have on like a swimsuit or if you're pressing down on something, when you are lifted up, you're going to have like a pale line in the midst of all the colors, showing that something was compressing your skin. My point is, your skin could start to do some weird stuff in the first 15 to 20 minutes up to 6 to 8 hours later. And the only way to cover that up is to go ahead and overdress you in long sleeves and long pants so no one can see if anything has started to change colors. Or to go ahead and stab you up and make it look like a crazy murder and spread blood all over you so that it looks like just a murder and no one knows how long you've been gone. Well, the forensic pathologist will know, but not the human eye if you're covered in blood like Cash was. So yeah, I know. I know. I'm saying a lot right now. And I know it's probably not the popular opinion, but it's still my opinion. You see the lividity in this person that's hanging? It's starting in the ears, the fingertips, and the toes because the blood is pooling downward. But if he had on gloves and some socks, we wouldn't know that. Even if it had only been 15 minutes, we wouldn't see that if they just found a way to cover it up. I don't know how you would cover the ears, but you get my drift. Summer Wells could have easily been in pallor mortis, algor mortis, and liver mortis. She could have been going through all those in the picture, in the car. It is absolutely possible. No one wants to think that, but what I'm reading, unless there's a doctor or a nurse that can come in here and tell me or come into the chat and tell us this all is incorrect, this fits the bill. Cash Gernon could have been dead in that crib. I am inclined to believe he was. And that was just looking at him. Now that I'm educating myself even more, and this isn't the first time I've seen this stuff. This came up in the Kanika Jenkins case. Trey Gang Productions, shout out to you. He went hard, broke down the stages of death, and her body had really been dead for a while. Justice for Kanika. But my point is, those babies could have been dead. Now, why anybody would record it, I will never know. But this family is a little bit weird. So I'm not shocked. But then again, I am because it's so morbid. When I saw the comment that grandma accidentally took the picture, I was inclined to believe it. Then again, I thought about all the symbolism in Candace's pictures, and I'm just like, this family is warped. And then they can sit here on the news and look at us with straight faces, lying their asses off. So I don't put anything past them, especially when I'm looking at the definition and I'm looking at the video and it's all matching up for me. Why overdress her in the summertime if you're not covering up something, maybe marks on her body? Was she hot or was she cold? You laid her on 2 gallons of milk, which had to be cold because who would have hot milk? That's garbage, basically. When you get home, you got to toss that. So you have to be cooling her off. And that would be really uncomfortable after a while. Your face would probably go to sleep. But you got to cool her off because if you don't, you're going to head on into rigor mortis. And then she might poop on herself right in the back of the car. Oh, that's hard to cover up. Now we're talking DNA. So we put on some long clothes and cover up the liver mortis. Throw a little bright filter or lighten up the color a little bit and cover up the paler mortis a little bit. And we buy the 2 jugs of milk so we can regulate the body temperature and slow down the alga mortis. So rigor mortis doesn't kick in before we're able to hide the body. See, Monica Sherrod just didn't move as fast because he hadn't lost anybody before the way Candace Bly, Candace Wells, and Donald Wells had. Because some of them know something about Rosemary Bly, and maybe they kept her cool too. Because that was some slick thinking, quick thinking. While we're in Walgreens, grab 2 gallons of milk, whoop, whoop, whoop. I mean, it's morbid as hell, but don't tell me it's not possible. Don't tell me it's not possible. This video is on a loop about a minute, just a little over a minute. And we're going to watch it. We're just going to watch it. I don't know. Her hair looks red at the top and then it's awfully white around the edges. I feel like they lighten the picture up. But look at how overdressed she is for the weather. And they're saying this was taken the same day. Now that could be wrong. Be nice if grandma or Candace would confirm it for us, but based on the information we've been given, she's way overdressed. It's hot as hell outside. She's got on a full long sleeve shirt, full pants. What's going on? At the same time, we're laying on cold jugs of milk because again, it would be completely asinine to be having hot milk. There's no need to have, there's no need. It just makes no sense. So, I don't know, y'all. That's a fact. I don't know. Neither do you. None of us know. But we can all research. We can ask all the questions and try to figure this thing out.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but she still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but she still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but she still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but she still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch, but
Why were you trying to catch that? What does that mean? That's what I was trying to catch. What arm was it? The left arm? It had to be because she's laying on the right arm. Was her left arm up? I mean, because that's awkward and weird. That's what you were trying to catch, though. What does that mean? What does this video mean? Because this is not an innocent picture of a baby sleeping, in my opinion. Absolutely not. There is something morbid about this picture. If it was the last one taken, or she passed, or if she's already gone, I don't know. But we have to look at the facts and everything surrounding this case. And it's not impossible that Summer is no longer with us in this very picture. You don't have to agree. I see people already, 6 people already thumbed down the video. I didn't make the video. I didn't do this to her. She didn't do this to herself. Someone did this to her. We are just spreading the awareness. Something happened to this baby, possibly at the hands of the 2 people driving her around right now in this video. And I'll be damned if I won't talk about it. If she woke up from this and planted flowers and got a piece of candy from grandma and then went in the house to see her brothers, but then asked to go downstairs into the basement to play with toys and then vanished, okay. Okay, if that turns out to be what happened. But I think what I've presented here makes a hell of a lot more sense than what I just said in the last 30 seconds. Their story makes absolutely no sense. And all these little breadcrumbs they are leaving us, they're telling a different story. Let's keep rolling.